Well, hello, math champions. This is Math 0028, section 4.5. Today we are going to look at graphing linear equations in two variables. So we are going to specifically look at graphing equations that are in this form, y equals mx plus b. So by the time you get done with chapter 4, you will know 3 different ways to graph an equation, and this is the first way. So let's get started. All right, so when we are talking about the coordinate system, we're going to be graphing equations, and these equations are lines that are made up of points. So you learned how to graph points in section 4.4. So the solution to one of these equations is an ordered pair, x and y, okay? And what we're going to do is that we're going to find 3 ordered pairs that make up that fit into the equation, that are solutions of the equation, and we're going to plot those ordered pairs and then draw the line. So that's basically what we're doing today. Okay? Now, there is a lot, the first 3 or 4 slides of this section are very wordy. I apologize. Anyway, so basically what this whole slide says is that there are an infinite number of solutions for every equation. We're only going to find 3, okay? Do we have all day to look for all of the solutions? No. So what we do is we put a little arrow on each end of the line so that we know, okay, there's the rest. Figure it out, okay? So we're going to find 3 ordered pairs to get our line for our equation. Now, what this slide is telling you is that basically anything that's written in this form, y equals mx plus b, is a linear function, because when you graph it, you should get a straight line. So if when you start to plot your points, your line looks like a roller coaster, something is very, very wrong. So you need to make sure that you have a nice straight line when you're plotting the points on the graph. Now, this equation down here with the y equals x squared plus 4x plus 3, that's not a linear equation or a linear function. In other words, it won't give you a line when you graph it because of the squared term. That's why. And you won't see that unless you go into Math 1033 next semester. Excuse me. So another example of an equation that's not a linear function, which I don't know why we're talking about this, because we're not going to do it, but whatever. I didn't write this book. Is that anytime you have a radical within an equation that's not a linear function, we're only graphing linear functions. And so we move on. So this is the slide. This is the most important slide in the whole section. So really you could have just like fast forwarded through those last 3 slides. This is a procedure that you're going to do or use to graph linear equations, okay, that are in this form, y equals mx plus b, is that you get to choose any value for x. And you're like, me? I'm in charge? Yes, and that's very scary. So I'm going to show you the easy values. The values I like to use a lot are 0, 1, and 2. And everybody's like, well, Miss Westner, that just seems so easy, too easy. Be glad, right? So we're going to use nice, simple numbers to keep it simple. KISS system, keep it simple, stupid. That's my whole idea for myself, okay? So once you choose any value, you plug it in and solve for y, okay? And what you have just gotten is an ordered pair, x and y, and that's one of your solutions. So then you just have to go back and find 2 more solutions. In other words, let x equal something else the second time. So like if you let x equal 0 the first time, the next time you might let x be 1, and then you might let x be 2, things like that. And then once you found 3 ordered pairs, then you plot those points and draw the line. So it's not crazy difficult, but it's just weird to get started because people are like, I don't know where to start. So that's what we're going to, make sure everybody's good about. All right. So when we are graphing this equation that's in the form y equals mx plus b, we're going to use what we call a t-table. I call it a t-chart because it looks, she put extra lines, but it looks like a little t if you draw the line here and there, okay? So you have a t-chart. And so this gives us a nice place to record our ordered pairs. Now, here they say to graph y equals negative 3x minus 2 by first plotting the solutions of the equation when x equals negative 1, 0, and 1. Now, normally I would not use negative 1 as one of my first numbers, but they've asked us to, so in this case I'm going to do what they say because, you know, I'm a rule follower. So what you have to do is take the negative 1 and you're going to plug it into your equation, negative 3x minus 2, where the x is. So you have negative 3 times negative 1 minus 2. And that's what we have to work out. Okay, so bring down the y. So you multiply. Negative 3 times negative 1 is 3 minus 2. So y equals 1. So that's what you put back over here beside the negative 1. So there's our first ordered pair, negative 1, 1. Okay. Now you go on to the next value that they've given us for x, which is 0. So we're going to plug in 0 where the x is, negative 3 times 0 minus 2. So y equals, when you multiply negative 3 times 0, you get 0 minus 2. So y equals negative 2. 0 minus 2. Okay? All right. Now, let's plug in 1. So we have y equals negative 3 times 1 minus 2. So we have, ooh, this can give us kind of a big number, negative 3 minus 2. Get that negative 3 when you multiply there. That's an equal sign. And y equals negative 3 minus 2 is going to give you negative 5. So there's our last ordered pair. So what you do, in this case, they gave us the values for x, and sometimes they will do that in the homework on 4.5, and you just have to do what they say. You have to plug in the ones they say if they give you the values. Some of them it'll just say graph, and we'll do those also. So now what we have to do is graph these three ordered pairs. So our first ordered pair is negative 1, 1. So remember, you start at the origin. To go to negative 1, you have to go to the left 1, but then it's a positive 1, so you're going to go up 1. So you put your point right there. Okay? All right. Now the second one, 0, negative 2, those are tricky. So remember, you start at the origin, but you don't go anywhere left or right because you're at 0, and the y value, you go down to negative 2. So it's going to be on the y-axis. Okay? And then the last ordered pair, 1, negative 5, we have to go right 1 and then down 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, down right here at the bottom. Okay. Now here's the hard part. Drawing a straight line through those points. Not bad. Not great, but not bad. So anyway, if you're doing it on your homework on WebAssign, it should give you a nice straight line. The graphs are, you know, a little weird to get used to at first, so you just have to kind of play with it. And if you have some real issues, or if you think you got it right and they marked you wrong, you can always send your teacher, me, an email and let me know. Okay? All right, so this says graph y equals 1/2 x plus 1 by first plotting the solutions of the equation when x equals negative 2, 0, and 2. So let me say something first about they gave you the values. And on the test, you may not always get the values for x. You may have to guess them or come up with them on your own. So they want us to use negative 2, 0, and 2. And let me show you why they chose those values. 0 is always the easiest number. So 0 is always going to be one of your chosen values. Okay? But when you have a fraction here in front of the x, you don't want to use 1 because then you're going to have to graph a fraction. And nobody wants to do that. So what you do is you're going to use the denominator of your fraction, the 2, and then the opposite of that, negative 2. So that's where they got those values. Okay? So whenever you have a fraction, okay, in front of the x, you're going to use 0, the denominator, I'm going to abbreviate that, and then the opposite of the denominator. And if you do that and use those values, you will never have to graph a fraction, okay? Which makes it really nice. All right, so we're going to plug these in. Y equals 1/2. Now, our first value is -2. Since I'm multiplying by a fraction, I'm going to put -2 over 1, and then don't forget plus 1 out there at the end. So we bring down the y. Now, first of all, you've got a positive times a negative. That's going to be a negative. Go ahead and put your sign there. And we can cancel the 2's. Those just go to 1's. So you're going to end up with -1 plus 1. When you multiply those fractions, you just got -1. And -1 plus 1 is a nice answer of 0. We like zeros. Okay. Now we plug in 0. So we have 1/2 times 0 plus, oops, I'm trying to put in the wrong number, plus 1. Okay. So 1/2 times 0 is 0 plus 1, which is just 1. Okay, that's a plus sign. All right. So y is 1 there when we plug in 0. Oh, I hate it when I do that. Sorry about that. All right, now we plug in 2. My hand was in the way and I couldn't see what I was doing. All right, so we have 1/2 times 2 over 1 plus 1. So this is going to be a positive fraction or positive answer. When we multiply the fractions, positive times a positive, I can cancel the 2's by 2. Those just leave little 1's. So that whole thing is going to multiply to be 1 plus 1. So y equals 2. So we have nice small numbers on this. And notice, no fractions. That's the idea. We're giving you the values to make your life easy. So you can choose those and make your life easy, or you can use 1 and other numbers that won't work nice and be miserable. It's up to you. It's your choice. Okay? So -2, 0 is our first order pair. So I'm going to go, remember you have to go over to the x. So you have to go to -2 to the left, but you stay there on the x-axis. Okay? Now 0, 1, you're not going to go anywhere left or right, but then you have to go up 1 on the y-axis. Okay? And then 2, 2, we have to go over to the right 2 and up 2. Okay? And now draw the line. Ugh, kind of missed it. But you get the general idea. Okay? And that's your graph. There you go. All right, so here it says graph the equation y equals 5x minus 4. They did not give us any values to use for x. So we're on our own into the unknown. So I'm going to use 0, 1. Oh, and here's the thing. Normally I would use 2. But if you plug in 2, you're going to get a 6. And the graph only goes to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Only goes to 5. So in this case, normally I would use 2 as my other value. But because she gave us such a big stupid number, I'm going to use -1. Nope, that's going to be worse. What can we use? Oh, let's try 3. Making a mess there. I'm going to try 3. Nope, that won't work. Well, let's just use 2. What the heck? We'll just fake it. Okay? So, what a mess. Sorry, guys. All right. So, we're going to plug in 0. So, y equals 5 times 0 minus 4. I was just trying to think of other values that might work nicely, but I just can't think of anything right now. So, we have 5 times 0 is 0 minus 4 would be -4. 0 minus 4. Okay, so there's our first ordered pair. Okay, I'm just going to draw a line so you can keep them straight. All right, so now we have to plug in 1. So we have 5 times 1 minus 4 would be 5 minus 4 when you multiply there. So y equals 1, which is nice, 1 and 1. Now skip my screw up there, come down to 2. All right, so if x is 2, we have 5 times 2 minus 4. So that's 10 minus 4, which is going to give you 6, which is going to go off our grid, but we're going to fake it. Don't worry, we'll figure it out. All right, So now we need to plot those ordered pairs. So 0, -4. Now here's one thing. Let's say, for instance, that you have a really hard time getting the points for with the zeros in them on the right axis, and that gives you a hard time. Do you have to plot that point first? No. Let's plot the other ones first and then go back and do the one with 0 last, and I'll show you what happens. All right, so 1, 1. We're going to go to the right 1 and up 1. So I'm starting with the second point. I know, it's anarchy. So we're going out of order. Oh my gosh, rebellion in the math class. All right, so 2, 6. It's been a long time since I've been out with people, so it's kind of scary. All right, so 2, 6. This is where we're going to fake it. We're going to go over 2 and we're going to go up 6, which looks about like right there to me, I think. I don't know. It looks good to me, right? All right, and now 0, -4. If you were over here trying to put, go to the left to -4, then you'd see, heck, that's not a straight line. But if you go down 1, 2, 3, 4, there's your point, and you get that beautiful, nice, straight, wiggly line. Okay, and that's your graph. So if you have a hard time graphing the ordered pairs with 0 in them, you can do that last. If that, the order that you plot them in doesn't matter, you're still going to get the same line. So that might help you. Okay, graph the equation y equals -x plus 2. Yes, nice small numbers, friendly. Okay, we can finally use what I want. And I want to use 0, 1, and 2 because those are nice, easy values for x. Okay, now the part that freaks people out for this one is, what do I do with that negative sign? So I'm going to rewrite the equation as y equals -1x plus 2 because there's there's that imaginary number there, not imaginary number, but that unwritten coefficient of 1 that they just don't write because they're lazy. So put that in so it'll keep you straight with all the signs. So we start by plugging in 0. We have -1 times 0 plus 2. So that would be -1 times 0 is 0 plus 2. So y equals 2. Here's my first ordered pair, 0, 2. Okay. Now we're going to plug in 1. So we have y equals -1 times 1 plus 2. So y equals, if you multiply, you get -1 plus 2, and -1 plus 2 is going to give me 1. So there's my second order pair, 1, 1. All right, and now the last one, y equals -1 times 2, we're plugging in 2, plus 2. So y equals, if you multiply there, you get -2 plus 2. So y equals 0. Now, this one's going to be kind of hard to avoid the points with 0 because 2 of them have zeros. So you may just have to bite the bullet and just plot these. Okay, it doesn't really matter what order. One thing to note, when you are doing your homework in WebAssign, you do not have to plot 3 points unless, now there are some questions where they will say plot all these points, and then draw the line. But on some of them where they just ask you to graph, you can just get 2 points and you'll have a line. But you better make sure those 2 points are correct. That's all I'm saying. So fair warning. All right. So let's graph this. 0, 2, you're going to start in the center, but you don't go anywhere left or right, okay, because when your x is 0, but you're going to have to go up or down to 2. So it may help to draw those little arrows above your T-chart. So we don't go anywhere left or right, but we go up to 2. All right, now our next order pair is 1, 1. So we have to go to the right 1 and up 1. Okay. All right, and then we have 2, 0. We have to go over to +2, and you stay there. That's a nice little line. I like that one. So the only thing that made that one a little weird was that negative sign. And if you put the 1 there, then you're good to go. No big deal. All right, that was a nice equation. So here we have graph the equation y equals -3x plus 2. This might be okay. I think it might be good. All right, so we're going to start with our T-chart, x and y. And since there's no fraction or anything crazy, I'm just going to use 0, 1, and 2 as my x values. Okay, so we start with 0. we have y equals negative 3 times 0 plus 2. So that's going to be 0 when we multiply plus 2. So y equals 2. There you go. First order pair. All right, 1 down, 2 to go. Now we have negative 3, and we're going to this time plug in 1 plus 2. So we have, when you multiply, negative 3 times 1 is negative 3 plus 2. And you end up, remember, you have to subtract, keep the bigger sign. That's going to be negative 1. So you have negative 1 there. Okay? And now we plug in 2. Negative 3 times 2 plus 2. So when you multiply, you get negative 6 plus 2. And negative 6 plus 2 gives you negative 4. So we have our last order pair, negative 4. Okay, so this one we only have one with 0. So let's do that one last. Let's do the other order pairs first, okay, just to see how it kind of is going to fit right in the puzzle piece. All right, so we have 1, negative 1. I need to go to the right one and down 1. Okay, and then I'm going to do the 2, negative 4. So I have to go to the right 2 and down 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, look at 0, 2. If you tried to put 0, 2 over here, I'm just going to kind of put a line there. That would be totally wrong. It doesn't give you a line. But if you put 0, 2, because you don't go anywhere left or right, but you go up 2, that's going to fit right in that nice kind of squiggly line there. All right? And gives you your beautiful equation. All right, so here it says graph the equation y equals negative 2/3 x plus 1. So this is good. We need some practice with fractions. I know how much you guys all love fractions, so you were just waiting on this, I could tell. All right, you don't want to use 0, 1, and 2. 0 is great, yes, put 0, okay? But now, because it's a fraction, you want to use that denominator. We're going to use 3, and then we're going to use negative 3, because that's going to keep us from having to graph a fraction. So it doesn't matter what the denominator is, that's what you use. 0, the denominator, and the opposite of the denominator. So we have y equals negative 2/3, and we're going to put in 0 times 0 plus 1. Well, negative 2/3 times 0 is 0 plus 1, so y equals 1. So there's our first order pair. No fractions. Yay! Okay, now we plug in 3. So I'm going to put negative 2/3, and I'm going to put my 3 over 1 so that I can see the fractions there. Okay, so the 3's cancel to 1's, and negative 2 times 1, they're still on top, is going to be negative 2. Plus 1. And I know there's ones on the bottom, but you don't even want to write that. You just want to write the whole number, negative 2 plus 1. So y equals negative 1. No fractions. Beautiful. Beautiful. All right. Now we have y equals negative 2/3 excuse me, times negative 3 over 1. Now, do not fall into this trap. A lot of people think, oh, if when I plug in 3, I get negative 1, then when I plug in negative 3, I should just get positive 1. Nope, 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 nope. It's not that easy. You can't do that. You can't assume in math, okay? All right, so you have two negative fractions. So this is going to be a positive. We cancel the 3's. So see, you get a negative 1 there times the negative 2 is 2, positive 2, plus 1, which gives you 3. Totally different answer than if you just tried to take the opposite of 1 there. See? So you can't just like say, oh, it's just going to work this way. It doesn't. You got to do the work, do the math, okay? All right, so now we're going to plot our points. So let's be brave. Let's try 0, 1 first. Okay, you don't go anywhere left or right, but you're going to go up 1, okay? Because remember, the x is left or right, and the y is up or down, okay? Now, 3, negative 1. I have to go to the right, 1, 2, 3, and down 1, okay? And then negative 3, 3, I need to go to the left to negative 3, but then up 1, 2, 3, because it's a positive 3. Oh, I just love it when they're really far apart. Ooh, that's pretty good. I hit most of the points. So, there's your line. Okay, so here we need to graph the equation y equals negative 2/5 x. Now, it's kind of weird because there's nothing like after the x, like plus 2 or whatever, but you just plug it in. Okay, so remember, with a fraction, the easy values are 0, and then our denominator, 5, and negative 5. So that's what we're going to plug in. So we have y equals negative 2/5 times 0. Well, that's pretty simple. Y equals 0, right? So 0, 0, one of our points. That's nice. Looks like a face with the, never mind. All right, so losing it. Negative 2/5. Now we're going to plug in, sorry, that looks like, I don't know what. That's a 5, okay? That's almost as bad. And I'm going to put 5 over 1 here. Okay, one of these days I'm going to learn how to erase, and then the whole world will change. All right, so the 5s are going to cancel to 1s, and I have y equals negative 2 times 1 would be negative 2. So that's what we get there for the second order pair. All right, and now, maybe I can write this one without making a mess. We take negative 2/5, and we're going to multiply by negative 5 over 1. So the 5's cancel, but you have negative 1 times negative 2, so y equals 2. So in this case, yeah, it did flip, but don't do that, okay? I know I just said you can't do that, and here it worked, but just do the math, okay? So we're going to plot our order pairs. 0, 0 is the origin right there in the middle, okay? We need to go over 5 to the right, which is way at the end, and then down 2. So the second point is here. And then negative 5, 2, we go to the left 5 and up 2. So your last point is there. So, oh, these are so far apart. Wow, I impressed myself. That's pretty good. I don't know about y'all, but that looks good. All right, I think the rest of this is you tries. Yes, so you can go to the you try videos and listen to me again. More torture. Oh, and here's your joke of the day. What does a duck need for a math class? A quackulator. So there you go. All right, have fun with the homework. Take care. I'll talk to you soon. Bye, y'all.